This is team number 4 One World Trade Center, and my name is Soo-Yoon Kim. Today, I'm going to talk about the slurry wall, the foundation, and the core that made One World Trade Center strong. Last time, our team briefly talked about the slurry wall. Today, I will tell you in detail about the slurry wall of One World Trade Center. Before that, let's talk about the site of One World Trade Center. The One World Trade Center is located in the Manhattan, where it is like an island floating on the Hudson River. That site has been expanded since 1660 due to continuous reclamation, and the One World Trade Center was built in the reclaimed area. In other words, the One World Trade Center had to be built on the soft ground. Therefore, the special method was needed to build One World Trade Center. That was the bathtub. The bathtub came to be called so that the enormous concrete surrounding the site like the figure resembles the shape of a bathtub. The purpose of this concrete bathtub is to block the water, not to hold it like a real bathtub. So this huge concrete bathtub is actually an inverted bathtub. This bathtub was made using the slurry wall method. I will explain this slurry wall method by using the video. Slurry walls are typically constructed by starting with a set of guide walls, typically 1 meter deep and 0.5 meter thick. The guide walls are constructed on the ground surface to outline the desired slurry trench and guide the excavation machinery. Excavation is done using a special clamshell-shaped digger as shown in the video, or a hydromill trench cutter. The excavator digs down to design depth for the first wall segment. The excavator is then lifted and moved along the trench guide walls to continue the trenches with successive cuts as needed. This slurry wall cannot be constructed continually for a very long section due to limitation and size of mechanical plant. The wall is usually constructed in alternative sections like the ABC sequence shown in this video. Finally, inert reinforcement and placing of concrete to form the wall pane. Through this process, it was excavated from 70 feet underground to bedrock into a 9-block area below the World Trade Center site as indicated in red, and surrounded by a 3-foot thick reinforced concrete wall. Before the One World Trade Center was erected, this bathtub existed with World Trade Center. It occupied about 65,000 square meters. The picture above shows the past of the bathtub from the northeast of World Trade Center in 1969 before the 9/11 terror. The blue mark is the slurry wall. Therefore, the recovery of this bathtub was a major concern after the disaster. The collapsed structure destroyed a large portion of the slurry wall. Nevertheless, the wall could stand still because of debris acting as tiebacks. The restored bathtub now boasts a new concrete lining that further reinforces the original walls. Considered a symbol of resilience, parts of it are exposed at the September 11 National Memorial. So far, I've talked about the slurry wall. Next, let's look at another foundation used in One World Trade Center. The foundation of high-rise buildings, such as One World Trade Center, must support very heavy loads. At this time, three foundations are mainly used: caisson, floating, and pile. Caisson foundation is a form of deep foundation which are constructed above ground level, then sunk to the required level by excavating or dredging material from within the caisson. It is often used in the construction of bridge piers and other structures that require foundations under rivers as well as other bodies of water. Next foundation is the floating foundation. The main principle of floating foundation is to balance the weight of removed soil by a structure of same weight which causes zero settlement to the structure. Accordingly, floating foundation floats on the ground, creating a moisture barrier between the ground and the structure. Therefore, it is mainly used in moist land. Lastly, pile foundations are used as the foundation for high-rise buildings. This is the foundation used in One World Trade Center. The pile foundations are formed by long, slender elements typically made from steel or reinforced concrete or sometimes timbers. These pile foundations transfer the loads from superstructures onto stronger and steeper soil or rock at depth. By this principle, pile foundations are usually used when the ground, which is weak to support large structures. Therefore, this foundation was first to be used on One World Trade Center sites, which were weakened by reclamation. If you look at the pile foundation at One World Trade Center, you can see that it stretches as deep as 20 meters below the ground. Because a large scale of One World Trade Center should be built on such a weak land, huge slurry walls and pile foundations were used up to 20 meters below the ground. In addition, to make the building stronger, engineers also paid attention to the One World Trade Center core. So, let me talk about the core of One World Trade Center. As I mentioned, due to the scale of the building and 24-meter depth of slurry wall, pile foundation was used. In order to use the pile foundation, the ground was dug from the bottom of the slurry wall to the bedrock using an explosion. From there, concrete footings were set with 180 of 80-foot long and 3.5-inch diameter SAS truss steel bars. These bars were tensioned to a load of 600 kips to anchor the building. Then the steel cages were put with concrete, making the building's core. As you expected, the concrete wasn't normal. It was reinforced concrete, mixed with Portland Type 12 and Newcomb cement, which can hold up to 14,000 pounds per square inch. It means that 1,000 of normal adults can stand on 4-inch diameter cylinder. The core consists of this super strong concrete and sophisticated steel frame continued from the foundation to the top of the building. Compared to the former Twin Towers core, which was made from steel columns and thin sheet rocks, the One World Trade Center's core has 6 feet thick wall, so it can withstand from collision. The most interesting part of the core is that it's built like a fortress. The core has a windowless concrete floor of 56.69 meters. This huge and thick concrete core is surrounded by large steel columns and is built with extra concrete between each column. This is for protecting the building from truck bombs and other terrorists in order not to repeat the disaster like September 11. In addition, the stairs and elevators inside the core are protected by a double layer of thick, sturdy concrete to help people get out of the building safely in the event of a disaster like before. But the entrance wasn't allowed to look like a stronghold to make visitors feel welcomed, so ring entrance and giant concrete wall were invented. To summary, the slowly wall, pipe foundations, and the core that I've mentioned so far have allowed the 541 meters One World Trade Center to be safely built despite the reclaimed and weakened ground. And next time, our team will study how One World Trade Center can withstand natural environments such as wind and earthquake. Thank you for listening to my presentation.